Hi everybody and welcome back to another video. Now in this video I'm using these glitters. This is the Kylea Disney Heroes and Villains collection. Now you can see I've already done this hand and this was the Princess Jasmine, so of course the villain to this is Jafar. So I'm going to do Jafar on my other hand and this is what I've recorded. So this is what it looks like. It's kind of reddy, orangey, hollow multi-mix with hollow black through it. I've also got the Kylea Steel Ultra Fine. That's kind of like a grey hollow glitter. And this is a mixed glitter, but the pieces in it aren't quite so chunky. I'm also using Candy Apple from CJP Acrylic, Pure Black from Neo Nails Acrylic, Natural Beige from Neo Nails, and Crystal Glass from CJP. I'm also using the Liz Guild CJP brush, which I'm sure is a 12. Don't quote me on that. I'm sure it's a 12, maybe a 10. I thought about using this red net, but I didn't end up using it. I did use some fabric on the Jasmine hand. Now, I thought this gel polish looked really well with this Jafar glitter. It's kind of like a metallic-y, reddy, coppery colour. So what I'm going to do is put my natural beige down. This is the only time I use it to do my reverse French nail. I'm going to do it on the pointer finger just to change it up a little bit so it's not exactly the same design that's on the Jasmine hand. So I lay my first bead down, I blend down the back of it there so that it's kind of flush to the nail, and then I work on the front of it, building up a wall and getting it just as neat as I can with my brush. I do go in later with a steel nail file to refine the shape before I put the colour down on the very front of the nail. But the reason I flatten out at the back is so that when I put the cuticle bead on, it blends over the top and it just looks like one colour rather than, not one colour as such, but you'll see in a moment, it just flows right over the top and sometimes you can see where the first bead is, but this one it just goes right over the top, so it just looks as though it's all just been done in the one. There's no harsh lines or steps or difference in colour. Now this is the pinky. I did do a marble, but it didn't go very well. I kind of fell out with it a little bit, so I scraped it off and redid it. So this is how it's looking. I just did the Candy Apple and the Pure Black, and I kind of worked them together. Now I'm using the Ultra Fine, the steel, and I'm just putting some thin lines the way that the black lines flow on the marble, just so it's got a bit of a sparkle. Now I'm using a little bit of that Jafar, just a tiny bit. There's big chunky hexes in this one, so it's quite tricky to work with, but I'm trying just to pick up the smaller pieces and put it roughly where the red is. So you can still see the marble a little, but there's a bit of a sparkle to it. So this is how it's looking. Not very big, not very thick, just how I want it. So I do on this nail just kind of half and half of the black and the Candy Apple. Now I'm going to just cover this in glitter so I don't faff about and worry about a nice blend or anything. It's not an ombre, I don't want it to look like that. And these two colours would be horrendous to ombre, let me tell you. Black and red together, oh, if you can do it, great, but I wouldn't like to try. Now I've still got my COVID, it's still hanging on. Quite a few of my friends I've noticed have got it as well. I hope you're not too ill with it. I just feel like I've got a cold, as you can hear in my voice. I'm still waiting on my PCR result, but it was a postal one, and in Scotland there is a backlog, I've been told on the telephone line, so I'm still having to wait. With the new rules, I was told that after day 6 and 7, if you've had your booster, and you have 2 lateral flows on day 6 and 7 that are negative, you can go back out to plate. However, I did a test yesterday, which is day 7 for me, and it still came back positive. So here I am, still at home. So I've used this black hollow glitter. It's a mixed glitter, as you can see, but the pieces in it aren't huge, so it's nice and easy to work with. Really like this one. I feel it catches the light really, really well. And I think the black is exactly the same colour that's in that Jafar glitter. So what I do is I pick up a smallish tiny bead of clear acrylic, then I dip my brush into the glitter, and I try not to pick up too big a bead here because, like I say, as you can see here, the pieces in it, the big pieces in it, they are quite big. And I've got quite small nails, so you've just got to manipulate it, wiggle your brush around, and just gentle movements, getting it round into that cuticle area so it's all covered and you've got the pieces where you want them to be. They will eventually go, and you know, you can always just lift the bigger pieces out, or if you don't want too many of them. I'm doing a marble on my thumbnail again, and this time it actually went quite well. So what I do is I double dip my brush into the candy apple in the pure black. Now, I'm not really fussy what this looks like. This is just going down at the cuticle area so as it's got something down. And I've got it quite neat and as far in without touching the cuticle area before I start on the marble. So I use wet beads of the colour. So there's a nice wetish bead of the red, the candy apple, a wet bead of the black, and another one of the red. I just wipe off my brush and up, down, till I've got what it looks like a nice marble. Now, you don't do this too much because you'll end up just mixing the colours together too much. You won't be able to see them separately on their own, and it'll just look like a muddy mess. And you know, so don't work them too much, and nice and wet. So there we are again. See, that's looking really nice together, and I just wipe down the sides, making sure the nail is all covered as I go, and I just feel another little bit of tiny bit of red's perfect there. That's looking really good. Noticing little bits that, you know, any bits that are down the edges that I don't want there, just smooth them away with my brush. So a couple of tiny beads up the top there just to get that cuticle area covered. Because remember, I put the black and the red down earlier, so it doesn't have to be a perfect marble up the top because there is colour there already. But as you can see, that's worked together really well. You can see both colours separately, and it just looks like a lovely marble. So I take that ultra fine steel colour with a tiny bit of the clear acrylic, and I just put them down in the direction that the marble's going, just so as we've got a bit of a sparkle down it. Neaten that up because I want the lines nice and narrow. Don't want it to cover up the marble altogether. And get a little bit of Jafar and just do the same. I think I pick up a tiny bit of the chunkier hollow black just over the top because I just felt that the steel was a bit light compared to the black in the acrylic colour. Yeah, there we go. So you can still see it, but there's some darker, chunkier bits over the top as well. Again, not completely covering the marble, though the hard work that we've done earlier on. So this is the middle finger. I'm using that Premier Gel colour. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. If anybody is really super interested, just leave me a comment and I will find out for you. So I just do a couple of coats on this, so just getting right round to the cuticle. And I just put this down as a base layer because I'm sure all I put down glitter wise is Jafar here. And I felt this was a nice base colour for the whole nail. And I just curated my LED lamp for 30 seconds. This is all it needs in an LED lamp. I'm sure it'd be 2 minutes in a UV. Does anybody still use them anymore? What a time saver an LED lamp makes, and they're not really all expensive. So there we are. Yeah, we've got our beads of clear, we've dipped it into the Jafar, and again we just need to manipulate that so as it's covered where you want it to be. Just wiggle that brush and blend it down as far as you want it to be. I think I get another piece. I think I wanted it to come a bit further down than that. I'm not sure if I've recorded that or not though. See, it looks good. That colour does go really well with the Jafar glitter. So you can, you know, if there was any gaps in it, it's not really going to show up too much at all because the colour matched underneath with the gel polish. And you can use gel polish underneath acrylic. Nothing to say you can't. So, I have refined the wall with my reverse French nail just round the front of it so it's nice and sharp. I wanted to just go in with a black right round the side and the wings, just so that it was really sharp looking and precise before I put any glitter down. So I just take tiny beads. Doesn't really matter if you go over the top because you are going to file over it anyway. And then I cover the tip of it just with candy apple before I go in with Jafar. Now I haven't recorded it, but all I do now is I cap them in my crystal glass, file them, and I've left some lovely pictures at the end for you to ooh and ah over, and that is the set complete. I hope you like them, and thanks so much for watching again. And if you did enjoy the content, please subscribe to my channel and maybe even share if that's not too cheeky. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.